you know, who you are, what year you're in, what year consists of, without people telling me that because I look like a...
Hi, we're La Talk, and we essentially wanted to create a short series asking medical students about their experiences in medical school. What have they felt like? What have they gone through? All their different stories, and we hope you enjoy.
Yes, my name is Anne. You can call me Ezzy, you can call me Anne, whatever. And I am currently a final year medical student.
I'm Liddy, I'm a final year medic, and I've just started.
So I'm Chennai, I'm 23 years old. I just recently started my final year of medical school at the University of Southampton.
Fourth year was really intense academically. I think for Butts in London, it's definitely one of the hardest years of the degree because of the fact that we do a dissertation alongside more intense placements and further exposure to different specialties. And on top of that, you're starting to prepare for final year. So you have to start preparing where you want to do your placement, start filling in forms and trying to organize things like that. So it's just multiple things that you have to keep on top of. So I found fourth year very intense, but I was able to keep on top of my work-life balance to some extent. And we got through it in the end.
I've been finding it okay. It's been a shock to the system for sure. But yeah, my main aim is to just stay consistent and take every day as it comes. Because if I start overthinking about like all the things that need to be done, it can get overwhelming. But no, that's where I'm at the moment.
Just started, so I really don't have much to say about final year, but I've completed 4 years of medical school now at St. George's. Med school itself, as you girls know, is just a hitch in itself. Like the entire journey is just a rocky road. But we're here now. I can't complain, and I'm happy to provide some insight.
So can you talk about facing loneliness or fear as a medical student and what that was like for you?
I think I've always struggled with the fact that I would look around me and no one just seems to be struggling. Like I would ask them questions, they would know the answers. In lectures, people are putting their hands up. On placements, people are answering consultants' questions like off the bat. And I think the loneliness comes into that like, first, how did you know all of this? Like, did I miss a resource? Like, is someone not sharing something with me that I'm supposed to have known? And two, coupled with the fact that, like, we were talking about identity struggles and stuff, and just feeling significantly like less academically gifted than other people, it's quite a lonely place to be in. And I don't know, I would be honest and say that I don't think I've fully gotten over that yet. And I know at the beginning that I did speak about the fact that I had to retake my OSCEs last summer. This was literally like 4 weeks ago, like it's very, very recent. So I don't think I've fully gotten over that. I wish I was able to give like, oh, this is what I'm doing. But like, I think I'm just going to take this opportunity to speak about why it's quite a debilitating thing, because obviously everyone in med school has been top of their class. Like before med school, they were top of their class. That's how they got in. They were used to getting academic validation time and time again. And that being given back to them in the form of, oh, I'm consistently doing well sort of thing. And you get to med school and people around you just don't seem to have that struggle, but yet you do. And it's like, didn't we have the same A-level grades? Like, didn't we like go to similar schools? Like, I don't understand why I've somehow like gone so backwards and everyone else seems to be thriving sort of thing. So I think that's where my loneliness came in. And it was really, really bad, like when I was retaking, because I was literally the only person I knew retaken. Granted, like when I got to the actual retake day, there were other people that I recognized, but all in all, in my friendship groups, everyone I'd spoken to, they had all passed. And I would say it really does mess with you, because you know that you're competent. Like for you to have even gotten this far, you know that you're competent. You know that when you sit down, you are understanding words. Like granted, it may take people longer or short amount of time as you do, but all in all, you are understanding. So I think that a lot of it comes from the fact that everyone is hiding their struggles. And when everyone is hiding their struggles, they're only giving you the highlights. Like if someone is able to answer a consultant's question, maybe they just know that question, but if you ask them something else that you know, they might not know it as well. But it's still lonely because you're still given the impression that everyone knows everything, and you don't. So I think I've kind of tried to overcompensate for that by like studying a little bit harder than everyone else, like maybe taking a bit longer to study, trying to really like cover my bases whenever I'm studying. Like I know a lot of people in med school have moved past making notes. Like I still make notes because I feel like, oh, I have to, but then, you know, you still have to do questions as well. So that's extra time that I'm taking to really cover my bases. So the product of that is, again, even isolating yourself even further, which is even more lonely. So I just feel like it's just such a spiral of withdrawal from like the academic environment, because you feel like, oh, I need to do more studying by myself. But by doing that, you're reinforcing more loneliness, because it's like I'm not even around people anymore. And also, as a nice segue to that, I don't know if you guys have experienced, but the higher up that you go in med school, like you physically don't have time to see people that you usually see. Like your friends are really surviving off of the facts that we've been friends for so long, we're not going to abandon you now. It's not that like I'm seeing my friends every day. It's not that we text every day. It's not that like we talk every day. It's simply because we have just been together for so long that they just know what I'm dealing with. And does that make me feel horrible? Of course. Like to be a good friend is very much a give and take situation. And I feel like being a med student is often you're taking from your friends that have graduated, like they're already working oftentimes because like they're earning more money than you, they get to do more things while we're surviving off of student finance. So it's like all of that really just perpetuates that cycle of I am really by myself in this. Like it is just me in this scenario that my friends are really just holding on by a thread. I don't know who I am anymore. Like I'm not even thriving. The way that I said, oh yeah, me and books are like this. Like, are we even like this anymore? You know? So it's like everything that you once knew about yourself as like the social butterfly, someone that really knows what's going on in school, has just shattered in front of you. And like everyone is just pretending to be okay. And it's like, are we really okay? Like, should we, like, is this something that we should actually address with other people? And that's why, like, I'm really happy that you've created this medium, because, like, I think I've been acutely aware of the fact that who I thought I was has just completely broken over these past, like, months. I would say it's very, very recent. So I don't know if that's a shared experience with med students, but I just feel like if anyone else is going through this, can you let me know? So that's where I think the loneliness comes in. That it's just a multi view of everyone. Everything that you are is just not anymore. And how do you grapple with that new reality that, okay, I may not be the smartest in the room anymore. I may not be as social as I once was. I may not be as confident as I was, and kind of try to build yourself back up, basically.
I think I definitely probably struggled with my identity in like my preclinical years. I think the first and second year, on top of medical school being difficult, obviously there's always going to be like additional barriers or experiences that I think Black people will face in those higher education settings where they're not really represented, despite how much the UK wants to convince themselves they're not racist. So I'll say with first year, apart from COVID, the big elephant in the room that cut my first year short, so I had to do some of that in person. I would say that I really struggled to like find my people at medical school, especially at Barts in London. There's quite a huge Asian population, and there's also quite a huge Caucasian population in higher education. Full stop. There's a high Caucasian population. Obviously, the UK is over 8% white people, so it was kind of like there was this extreme end of medical school where to bond with people you had to like be into that very specific things, from like partying, drugs, alcohol, whatever. Whereas with the Asian side of things, it's quite a religious community and a faith I don't identify with. So I think in first year it was quite difficult for me to find my feet between kind of like my people and people I could connect with. And I also thought as though there was very subtle microaggressions where I think people came from places where they don't have much exposure to Black people. So I don't know what stereotypes they set up in their heads, where I do feel like at times people wouldn't want to approach me because of certain stereotypes they probably had about Black people. Who knows, loud Black girl, who knows? And I think in the first half of med school, I definitely felt as though being Black was like a bad highlighter. Not bad as in I don't want to be Black, but like a highlight where no matter where I walked in, I stood out in a bad way. Whereas now I do think I've embraced the whole Black excellence, be a representation for your community. But I think back in preclinical years, I found it difficult to accept that just because I'm Black, I need to represent the entire community. I still don't think that's fair, but I think I've made peace with it, and I've used it to empower me rather than to bring me down, which is in preclinical years, I struggled to kind of have that burden on my shoulders as a 19-year-old figuring things out. I don't think it's fair that that's an additional thing I have to figure out, but like that's just the society we live in at the moment.
I started medical school straight after sixth form, so I was 18, and naturally kind of like these years are very formative for me personally. I didn't really know who I was, what I wanted out of life, and kind of like my beliefs. I was kind of lost almost. So in the beginning, starting kind of like a whole new life chapter was really difficult for me. And then medical school in itself kind of posed like its own unique challenges because of who I am and where I'm from. It was hard to kind of adjust to a completely different environment, as well as kind of change, shift gears in your brain in terms of how you study and stuff, because you want to do well. I think the nature and like the culture of medical school wasn't really appealing to me in the beginning, I should say. And that kind of didn't really help with my ongoing kind of like identity issues. I felt like kind of the culture of medical school, the medical societies weren't really made for people who looked like me, or I never saw people who looked like me kind of engage authentically kind of in those spaces. So that kind of dampened my experience as a whole. I never really felt involved in kind of like the medical school community. And that's probably partly due to maybe, let's say, my own kind of hesitance being in a new environment, but also kind of seeing what you're used to back home and seeing kind of like this new change and new culture and wondering, oh, like things are different here. Like I joke with my friends about how like, well, most of us are from London or let's say urban areas where we interact with people who either look like us or different kind of cultural communities on a day-to-day basis, and then kind of being dropped in like some random city where, you're interacting with people who may not have had the same background as you, which is also a good thing, opportunities to learn. But there comes points where you see kind of a bit of friction, like within like your social interactions, and it's made clear that, oh, I'm actually really different here. Oh, like that's not the way things are done usually, or for me, I find that very different from what another person is going through. So that was quite hard to deal with at the beginning. And I think it's really in like medical school, there is like this unspoken friction between like the majority and the minority. And when you are the minority, like you 100% feel it. But let's say members of the majority either don't notice it or either put it down to some people are just not, they don't want to get involved, or they don't want to, some people are just not made for this kind of lifestyle. So that really added to the kind of imposter-like syndrome. So I found myself actually, like, especially in the earlier years of medical school, I spent most of my time with non-medics. So I kind of found my people, my comfort zone outside of medical school. And there are pros and cons to that, of course, but like in terms of my own identity and where I wanted to kind of cultivate my sense of self, I definitely found them more outside of the sphere of medical school. Hopefully that answers the question.
Embrace all identities and facets of things that make me me.
In terms of the mortality rates in obstetrics, a Black doctor has to be there to be like,
you are where you need to be for that time.